to basically look into reparations and the housing wealth gap and so forth, the economists have recommended $223,000 per person in California who is a descendant of slavery.
Fuck that. Fuck that 23,000. You know what it is?
All right, guys, thank you for watching Power to the Pod, where we are committed to an intellectual integrity and the moral honesty. Now, in this video, I know this is going to get a lot of crazy, probably even hateful comments, but when it comes to reparations, I'm always in the camp for having discussions, having conversations that will at least push the conversation even further to where something might happen. You know what I'm saying? It may not be exactly what everybody wanted, but at least people are taking it serious enough to, you know, have a bigger, broader conversation about it. And when with reparations, California is proposing reparations for descendants of slaves in California. And it's like $230,000 per person. Now, on the face of that, you're like, well, if you're for reparations, your first thought is going to be, that's pretty cool. But if you're against reparations, of course, you're going to say even $1's too much. Like, you know, because you have no heart and you don't understand the history of America, you know, but we'll say that for another video. But with more thinking and more understanding and educating myself on how America abused and used slavery to increase its wealth by billions of dollars. Like, you can't even, people who dwell in this type of history and they break it down to a science, they can't even put a number on how much they benefited off of slavery. Like, the number is too high. You know what I'm saying? So after watching this video, old boy makes a good point. He's on Vlad TV, and Phazin Love, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but he had a really strong opinion about that reparations in California. Let's take a listen.
There's a committee that is now, that, you know, Governor Newsom actually pushed for over a reparations program that, well, we posted this and one of the people that was actually in the committee responded and kind of corrected what we said. And what she said was she's part of this committee, and based on economists that they have hired to basically look into reparations and the housing wealth gap and so forth, the economists have recommended $223,000 per person in California who is a descendant of slavery.
Fuck that. Fuck that 23,000. You know what it is? Fuck that. That's another trick bag. You know why? Because that money's gonna go right back to Cadillac, right back to motherfucking Benz. Fuck that. You know what it should be? Black people should be tax exempt. Because when you were a slave, you were tax write-offs.
That's true.
The taxes were created to fund the Civil War. And number two,
taxes have always been around.
No,
I mean, they were created specifically for the Civil War. Maybe there might be new taxes, but taxes have always been around in any government system. The British tax was
something different. The American tax came when they needed to fund the Civil War.
I mean, you needed tax period to fund a government before the Civil War.
Up, it was
who paid for the salaries of all the civil workers around the country?
Oh, that was us. That was us, Vlad. We were the civil workers.
Okay, what about in the North? Who was paying where slavery wasn't allowed? Who was paying for the roads?
Themselves.
Yeah, and off their profit. What do you mean?
They just paid for themselves. There was no taxes.
Yes,
really?
There was no taxes.
The road, so money just appeared, and they took that money and built roads with it.
It's called commerce.
Taxes.
No, it's not. Taxes was created.
He's about to look it up.
Income tax and
trust me, I had to pause the video and look this up myself. But
to fund.
Okay, I looked it up. You're right. The income tax was created to fund the Civil War, but taxes as a whole were around before.
The British brought the taxes over with that bullshit from
Yeah.
Rome.
The income tax started in 1861 to fund the Civil War. You're actually right. So we're kind of both right, but you make a good point. I got it.
Thank you.
Yes, you got it. You got it. Well,
But my point is,
yeah.
if that's the case, we should be tax exempt.
I think that's actually a good idea. I would support it.
I haven't heard that idea before. I've had plenty of conversations with a lot of different kind of people, and being tax exempt, especially, I just finished 2 books talking about slavery, how won the Civil War and everything, and how that actually, I mean, they still lost the Civil War, but they were able to at least do what they can because of slavery. They even had slaves fighting on their behalf. And the slaves is like, why the hell am I even fighting? But you got to do what you got to do when you're a slave. You know what I'm saying? And then the capitalism side of it, what they can do with slaves back then, even when a slave would take his own life, slave owners would still profit from that. It was just, they could go to a bank and take loans out on their slaves to get more land, to get, pieces of equipment. It was crazy. It wasn't just you're working a plantation and that's it. It was they took little kids and profit off that. So, I mean, it's just crazy and just wild to me. So with tax exemption, I think is way beneficial than, a check of $200 or $2,500, which if that's all people get, fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, trust me, 5 years ago, this would have sounded like impossible to a lot of people. But I would like to see more, because like old boy said, that money for some people is going to go within a year. That's going to be gone. And if anything, that's going into other people's pockets. Some people are not going to even use that responsibly. You know what I'm saying? I would like to see something that will further somebody, further a group of people, even further, like one, education. I would love to have a community college or historic black colleges to be extremely cheaper, or if not free. And that is coming from the government's pockets. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Every single penny is coming from the government. And I don't want to keep beating a dead horse. I don't want to keep repeating myself. But if you look at 200 years of free labor, the only thing you have to buy is the slave. And trust me, you could cut deals. They were cutting deals. So don't give me only the ultra rich could afford. No, get out of here with that. And you were in the game. 200 and something years of free labor. And you're talking, you want to complain about free college for people, for 13% of the population here in America, and you want to cry about free education? Get out of here. 0 interest in any loans, car loans, house loans, personal loans, business loans, 0 interest. And I'm not an interest professional. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a loan professional. So if we can get even deeper than that, maybe we could. But I just, with my simple thinking, 0 interest. You know why? Because those banks that are now popping off and popular and got billions of, that is from black slaves. Read it up. Do your due diligence and look this information up. They profit hand over fist off of slavery. That was the number one thing that got it kicked off. So once again, don't come to me crying, talking about, oh, interest rates, this. 200, I'm going to say this in the comments. If you come at me with some weak argument, I'm just going to say 200 plus years of free labor. Nothing can beat that. Like I said, they can't even put a number on how much America has profited off of the free labor. And you want to tell me what I just listed is too much? If anything, they should turn America over to black folks. And that wouldn't even be half the price. So, I don't know, you tell me.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to join the conversation by subscribing. Make sure to tune in next time, and like always, power to you, power to me, power to the people, power to the pod.